Welcome back, YouTube, to another champion. It's not a champion competition video, I promise. Today, actually, we're going to be doing something a little bit different that hasn't happened on my channel in a while. Is a power rankings video for the new split of LCS. I'm a big LCS fan. Watch generally every single game for the past like 6 seasons. And what I like to do, I like to kind of break down and give my own power ranking opinion on where I think these teams are going to fall. Now, I am no professional. I'm not an analyst, but I do like to think I know a lot about these teams because I do watch every game, go over stats, and it's something that I take pride in. So this is just my opinion on where I think these teams fall. And if you guys have an opinion, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what your guys' power ranking list is, and we can compare and see who's right and who's wrong at the end of the split. So we'll go right into 10th place, which is going to be Optic Gaming. Now, Optic Gaming, their roster as it sits right now, top lane is going to be Dokla and Alarum, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Jungle is Meteos, Dardoch. Mid is Crown, AD carry, Arrow, and Asta. Support, Big, and Gate. Now, you guys can see on here, there's 2 different logos on here, actually, which is Optic and the Immortals logo. If you guys haven't been following esports, what's been going on in the scene, Optic, or the company who owns Optic, Infinite Esports, is looking to find someone to buy out the Optic name. Infinite, this whole thing happened when, not going to go into too much detail, but Optic Gaming, the Houston Outlaws from Overwatch are kind of owned by the same person. They're trying to get rid of that spot. Now, the biggest team that's looking to buy out the League of Legends, Optic spot is going to be Immortals. If you guys know, Immortals used to have a team, actually a very, very good team in the LCS. Ended up, getting denied franchising. This is a way for them to get in. So this is actually going to kind of bubble over any of my other opinions, simply just because ownership's going to be changing. If you've ever been in a store or seen a team that has gone through changes, changing a team, they may not like the coach, so they'll change the coach, and that coach may not like someone who's on his staff, or that coach may not like some certain players, and everything's going to get messed around. So just keep that in the back of your mind throughout all of this. They did finish 7th and 8th last split. I think 10th is kind of where they're going to fall, mainly because of what's moving around with this team. We don't know who's going to stay. We don't know who's going to start. They have a lot of moving pieces. They have 2 different top laners that they've showed last year, 2 different junglers, 2 different AD carries, 2 different supports. So we don't know where the team chemistry is. We don't know who's going to be the starter by the end of the year. Also, I think one of the best things about this team is going to be Crown being a world champion. Regardless of what happens with this team, I believe Crown will stay, and the team should be built around Crown now. As I said, expect this team to look completely different at the start of the next year, and we may see almost none of these players, except for maybe Crown, staying moving forward into 2020. The second team on this list, filling out the 9th place spot, is going to be Equifox, in my opinion. Top laner Solo, Jungle, Rush, and Panda. Mid is going to be Phoenix, AD carry Apollo, and support Hakuo. Of course, that duo has been around forever. Now, I have them finishing 9th. You may say, oh, well, hey, they made playoff last year. They were 6th place, 8-10 record. Why would they be in 9th place? Kind of the same thing with Optic. They're having some organization issues. Not going to go into detail, of course, like I said before. But the whole thing with Rick Fox and potentially leaving. If he leaves, honestly, this is a big thing for the team. He is the the vocal leader, the sort of guru figurehead for Equifox, and I feel if he leaves, a lot of these players may feel they may feel away, not in just this esport, but in other ones as well. So hopefully he ends up staying. But even if he ends up staying, I think this team is still going through some disarray. First thing is Rush. I'm not a huge fan of Rush starting over some other junglers. He's a very, very very mechanically gifted player. There's no denying that. But I feel with his attitude, kind of makes him a little uncomfortable. Also, with this bot lane that they've had, this is what other teams have found in the past, that it's a great bot lane to have, very, very good to try to build around them. It doesn't feel like you find success though with this bot lane, which is the bot lane of Hakuo and Apollo. I feel Equifox next season needs to find somewhere to either, trade one of these guys, get a different dynamic in that bot lane. That way the team can kind of just, change up a little bit, just have a different atmosphere to it. And hopefully next year, building a team around Phoenix. I know Phoenix is not one of the, the superstar mid laners that everyone, tries to talk about, like the Jensens and the Bjergsens, but he's a very, very solid mid laner. and I don't think he's had an amazing team to play around. The best team he had was the Team Liquid team that he had with I Will Dominate, and that didn't go over well, too much either. So I think we need to find a team where he either, you put a ton of young players around him, or you put a ton of vets around him who are still in, championship, level of play, and try to build a championship team, that can possibly win in one split or two splits, to kind of work out of this 9th place spot that they have. 8th place is going to be Clutch Gaming. This top laner, you have Huni. Jungler is going to be Lyra. Mid is Demonte and Piglet is what I saw actually. AD carry, Cody-san, and support is going to be Vulcan. Now with this team, I feel they finished 8th place last year. A lot of talent on this team, but I think 8th place is probably where they're going to end up falling. One big reason is something I call the Carnival of Egos. I've used this with other teams in my other videos in the past. But basically it's when you have too many egos in one team who kind of fit into those carry roles, and they all want to be the superstar, and it's, it doesn't end up working out. And what I mean by that is you have Huni, which we know, very, very big diva, and you have Piglet. Now, Piglet probably won't be playing too much. I watched a few videos and saw that, that's why they ended up getting Cody-san to get rid of Piglet, but he's still on the roster. He's played mid lane, he's played AD carry, so they may be trying to still fit him in there somewhere, and I hope they don't do that. Leave Demonte the team. He is their best player. I feel like Demonte has the highest ceiling, I should say. Huni is definitely the best player, but Demonte has the highest ceiling and could end up being a kind of a pole belter type of player, which is, he is the highest ranked, North American resident that we've had that's not a transfer from Europe, because, Bjergsen and Jensen both came from Europe. Pole belter is from, North America, so having another mid laner who kind of fits into that, I think that's good. I think that's a very, very good place for Demonte to reach, is for that pole belter type of role. Now, I think this bot lane will slightly change next year. I think Cody-san's fine. I think Vulcan being super, super young, if they're going to want to try to get to playoff potential, if Vulcan doesn't have an amazing split, this coming split, they may end up looking to try to find a different support, maybe grabbing Hakuo back, maybe grabbing a support, maybe grabbing JJ, from FlyQuest. But we'll see some changes definitely in the bot lane for this team next year. You can, rest assured on that. In 7th place, you have Counterlogic Gaming. They finished 7th place last split as well too, so it's kind of funny. Top lane is going to be Ruin. Jungler is Wiggly with Moon. Mid is Power of Evil. AD carry Stixay and Otto, and support is Biofrost. Now you say, oh wait, Rune, who's this? Why is Darshan not there? I'm sure you guys should have watched that video already. That came out, months ago, with not months ago. It was literally like a month ago. With CLG and Darshan parting ways. Now we don't know who is the one who decided to, initiate the removal of Zion Spartan, aka Darshan, but he is gone now. He actually, I'll get into it from a different team. He went to a different team. They finished 7th last split, 7 wins, 11 losses. And with Darshan gone, they brought in Ruin, who played in the LEC last split. He played for the Giants, I believe is what the team is. And I watched some of their VODs. He plays very, very aggressively. He plays a lot of, the Aurelias, those type of top laners. And he reminds me a lot of Broken Blade. And that's a good thing. Having a top laner in this sort of meta who can play that style and can be aggressive and can be a playmaker for your team takes a big weight off of the rest of the map. So I think Ruin's going to come in, and I don't think he's going to find, success off the bat, at least in the team aspect. I think in top lane, I think he can probably bully some of the top laners in this league pretty easily. But we'll have to see what he kind of finds, once he gets into the team. Because he is a Korean-speaking top laner, and I don't believe they have a Korean-speaking player on their team outside of him. So outside of his, translator, they need to find someone else to bring in to kind of help with his, with his communication. That way they can get some really good, synergy built off of that. The one big problem, though, with this team is they do not have an identity. Power of Evil, we've seen, is not a full-fledged leader. Biofrost, who has tried to be a leader, hasn't really come through with it. Stixay is not a vocal leader. Wiggly is still their rookie, so I don't really expect him to come in and be the leader. They need to find somebody on this team who can pull the troops together and make those type of calls like somebody like a High would, somebody like Hanser would. That way they can, formulate some plans in game, and not just rely on their coach out of game to tell them once they lost and, hey, this is what you guys should have did. You should have a leader in game to be able to do that for you. I think their ceiling is going to be about 6th place, which would make them into playoffs. 7th place, though, is kind of where I think they will end up falling. I think once this team gets a full split, if they keep the same roster, they have a very young team with some experience in the playoffs, but not a ton. I think having a full split with this team will actually do them some justice. We will probably see a very this team stays together, but this team could end up being a dynasty in the future. Coming up in the 6th place spot, I have Golden Guardians. Their team is going to be Haunter in the top lane. Jungler is going to be Contracts. Mid, Froggen. AD carry is Deathly. And support, Ole. Now with this team, they finished 5th last split with a record of 9-9. Their best split so far. Much better than finishing last place. This team is only going to get better, and I feel that with this team, getting better and being on an upwards, trajectory, someone's gonna have to emerge as the superstar, and it could be anybody. But to me, I feel like Deathly is gonna come up and be the superstar of this team, and that's one of the big things that I wrote on here is is Deathly going to live up to his hype. When he came from E United as a rookie, had a lot of hype, didn't do too much just because his team wasn't really good. Now he's got a very good team behind him. We saw it with the Heimerdinger bot lane. I feel like we're going to see some different things out of him. He may have to play some, some standard AD carries, but I feel like he's going to just continue to get better, and he's going to be the next, installment of the sneaky double lift sort of era that we will see. Now, one thing that I did not write on here is the emergence of their academy team, which they added Huhi from recently from 100 Thieves, and they added Darshan from CLG. So as a team, I know they didn't just add these guys to add them to their academy team. They didn't do that. They're smart. They wanted to take away 2 very big free agents, so that way no one else on the field could pick them up and add them to their starting rosters. And what's going to end up happening is, depending on how this team does, if Froggen ends up doing really bad, they can sub in Huhi. I don't think that'd be a good idea. I think Froggen's definitely better than Huhi. But in the top lane, if Haunter ends up not working out, they have a backup in Darshan. And I think Darshan will end up starting for this team by the end of the split if they're not doing well. I think Haunter is a very, very good top laner, don't get me wrong. But depending on how he does or how his attitude is, like with the organization, they may just say, hey, okay, well, you can sit down and we have Darshan to put in. Or Darshan can just come in and be sort of like a top lane, coach for Haunter. But I would definitely feel more comfortable putting Darshan in as a top laner. Ceiling for this team is going to be 4th place, in my opinion. Floor would be 7th, which is them just barely not making playoffs. So I think we're going to start seeing this team dominate more and more. Definitely going to be a team to watch out for in the future. 5th place, all the way from 10th last split, is 100 Thieves, falling in at the 5th place spot. Top laner Someday, jungler is Amazing now. Mid is Soligo, AD carry is Bang, and support is Aframu, of course. Now this team, as I said, they finished 10th place last year. Split. Completely garbage. Going from finishing 2nd in Miami 2 splits ago to being last place is a big, big change. But you've noticed with 100 Thieves is that every split they've made some sort of starting lineup change. And that's a very bad thing for a new organization to do. But it does show that they're trying to find what works. I do think getting rid of Huhi was a bad mistake as their starting mid laner. Soligo, very, very young player, no real experience, so throwing him in here and just expecting him to do really well is kind of bad. So then I shouldn't have him at 5th place, right? Well, I think with the adding of Amazing over Anda, they have a very good solid 4 core around Soligo. So even if he's not performing really well, you have Someday in the top lane. You have Bang and Aframu in the bot lane. So you have other lanes that could do the carrying. They may end up putting him on champions like, Zillion, Karma, Lulu, if the meta calls for that. But you can see him on more supportive mid laners instead of being on these carries for at least the first few games to kind of, get him just acclimated in. Or they just may say, hey, go out and play Ari or something and just, lead us to the promised land. So if he ends up doing that, I think this team has a ceiling of breaking into the top 4. Maybe top 3, top 4 probably at the most. They have a floor, I think, of falling to 6th. I don't think this team will not make playoffs next year. Not make playoffs this split, sorry. Just because of how much talent they have now with the 4 of them surrounded by this, this young rookie. So definitely going to make playoffs this year for sure. And coming in at the 4th place spot is going to be Team Solo Mid, TSM. Top laner, Broken Blade. Jungler, Acadian and Griggs. Mid laner is Bjergsen. AD carry is Ven. And support is Smoothie. Now you say, why do you have them at 4th place? Well, there's some other teams in front of them that I think are just slightly better than them. But they did finish 3rd last summer, 13-5. 2nd place finish in playoffs. They ended up getting beat by Team Liquid 3-2. 3 wins. Yeah, they lost 3-2. This is their 2nd split with having all their new pieces, whether it's Smoothie, Broken Blade, and Acadian. I think the big trajectory of where this team finishes, as you see here, I have their ceiling of finishing in 1st place and their floor at 4th. I don't think they're going to win with Acadian as their jungler. The reason why I say that is Griggs fits their jungle playstyle perfectly. He is not the most flashy jungler, but Griggs knows how to play the jungle. Acadian does too, but Griggs fits this team better. Just from watching them play with both of them, I'm just saying, this fits so well with Griggs now, because now they have a top laner who's way more aggressive than Hanser is, talking about Broken Blade, who can carry a game single-handedly by himself. And bot lane seems to be working a lot better with having Smoothie, who yet again is a more playmaking support over Mithy. And then obviously you have Bjergsen. Now the big thing with this team is going to be, if they do end up finishing in the top 3, they do end up doing well in the playoffs. If they get invited to Worlds, I feel like, is this team really going to be internationally ready? Sven has played in Worlds. Obviously Bjergsen has. Broken Blade would be his 1st year. Griggs or Acadian would be. Griggs didn't. Did Griggs play last year? I think he did. This would be Acadian's 1st time. Smoothie, he's played as well. So, how far is this team going to go internationally? We don't know. We'll talk about it later. But that's the big focus for TSM, I think, is just getting in that top 3, top 4 spot, and then trying to get invited to Worlds and just kind of working on their play there. Because I think depending on how well they do at Worlds, next split, they may end up being in the top 3. Now 3rd place, this may be a little surprising for people. I have FlyQuest. Now FlyQuest's team, we have Viper in the top lane, jungler of Santorin and Maxi. Mid is Pole Belter, AD carry, Wild Turtle. Support is JJ and Witted. This team here has, I think, one of the biggest ceilings. They finished 4th last summer with a record of 9-9. The big thing is signing Witted. If you guys have never watched Witted play, go watch some LEC, some EU, LCS, before they got franchising. He is I think he's a step down from a core JJ. He's a Korean support who makes a lot of plays. Seems to do a lot of play calling as well in the bot lane. Sort of on that same line as someone like Core JJ. Signing him is a huge thing for this team, because now you have an aggressive playmaking support who can play alongside someone like, Wild Turtle, who we know is a very aggressive AD carry. Kind of fits that double lift, Core JJ, Wild Turtle, and Witted. Now, what does this say for JJ, who has been the starter now for, the 2 splits? I don't know. I feel if you sign somebody like Witted, make a big thing as they did, they're probably going to put JJ on the bench or trade JJ to somebody else. They did depart with Selfie, though, to get Witted, which is fine. I think Pole Belter's fine as a mid laner. The big thing with this team is Viper. In my opinion, top 3, top laner. I think he actually is probably competing with Licorice for being that 1A, 1B spot, and that's awesome. To have a rookie, perform that well, kind of very similar to TSM, performing that well in his 1st split, is only, it only goes up from there. Now, how this is going to go is, depending on how well Viper does, is how well this team's going to go. I think they can end up being in 1st team, the 1st place in this split, or they can fall to 4th. It just really depends on how Viper goes. And one thing I did write on here is, I just want to make a little note of it. I put IMT Pobe. So, with Pole Belter, depending on what happens with the Optic and Immortal situation, you may see Pole Belter end up getting, trying to get a contract, or getting a contract from Immortals, which could completely, I think, destroy this team. Hopefully they don't do that, but just keep it in the back of your mind as something that could end up happening in the future. Second place team is going to be Cloud9. They finished second last split with a record of 14-4. They actually lost the tiebreaker to Team Liquid. I believe they have the same record as Team Liquid. With Cloud9, they finished third in playoffs. This is their second split with their new mid laner Niski, who I felt like did a very, very good job last year. But with this team, they have so many. They still have the whole contract, or the contra of having two junglers and two mid laners, and Golden Glue and Blabber, who didn't really get a lot of play at Worlds last year, didn't get a ton of play this split as well. So what are they going to do with those players? I feel like with Sven Skaren, when they had Jensen, I think there was a great combination to have Sven and Jensen, even though they kind of played Blabber and Jensen most of the time. And if that's the case, Niski has sort of the same sort of play style as Jensen, so why would you not play Blabber? Very confused with that. Also, Golden Glue. Golden Glue, I know, is a good scrim partner and always kind of has been. But why keep Golden Glue on if you're just going to keep getting different mid laners? So I think they could definitely package Golden Glue and maybe Sven to get a much better jungler, or to get a new support, or to get just something else on this team that actually would help them out a lot. Top lane, they're fine. Bot lane, I think Zeyzal's good. I definitely think they could maybe upgrade Zeyzal a little bit. Sneaky's fine. I don't see any reason to get rid of Sneaky. He's great, and he has awesome cosplays. Now with Cloud9 though, they've always performed well at Worlds, and when I say well, I mean getting out of the elimination stage. With this new iteration of Cloud9, and with TL just getting second place in MSI, there's more pressure, I feel like, on Cloud9 than ever to perform internationally. And if they do well again this split, they will end up going to Worlds. So they need to keep that in mind of what do they want to do for Worlds next year. That's kind of the big thing here. What are we going to see from Cloud9 going in the playoffs and then moving into Worlds? Hopefully some good stuff, but we will find out. And last but certainly not least is going to be the team everyone probably has as their number one seed, which is Team Liquid. They finished first last summer, 14-4. Like I said, they own the tiebreaker with Cloud9. They won summer's playoffs, 3-2 against TSM. They finished second at MSI, beating Invictus Gaming, which was an amazing series. If you guys haven't watched those VODs, go back and watch them. That was some awesome League of Legends. And then they got mopped by G2. With TL, I don't think they have anything to worry about domestically. They're going to crush this split. They're going to end up probably winning playoffs, just off of what we've seen. Now that could change, but just off of, if we're just going off of paper, they're going to dominate. Now for them, it's going to be Worlds, and I think they do have a weakness. As good as this team is, I think they do have a weakness. I think it is going to be in the top lane with Impact. Now, I'm a big Impact fan. He's great, but as it really depending on how this meta goes, if he ends up feeling that he can't play these carry roles, and you're playing against a lot of other top laners, whether it's the Shy, whether it's Khan, whether it's just playing against domestic like Licorice and Viper and Broken Blade and Ruin, and he doesn't play very well into those matchups as a tank player. And if teams look at that and they see that he's not adapting very well to the meta, they were just going to target him. Can't target bot lane anymore. You have Core JJ there. Bot lane's good. Xmithie's great jungler. Jensen's very, very good in the mid lane. So top lane would be the role that they would have to target. So depending on how an Impact does with that, it could really break this team apart when it comes to the world stage. But when it comes to domestically and how well they will perform internationally, because let's face it, this is the best team that North America has had to send to internationally. We finished second in MSI. We beat the world champions. That's amazing. And Core JJ is the core of that. If depending on how he plays, is how this team's going to go. If he plays at that MVP level, this team is really hard to beat. We may be looking at the team that could potentially win Worlds for us. I know it's a really long ways away, and very, I won't say it's super unlikely, but it's hard to think, North America winning Worlds, but it can happen with this team. I hope it does, but we will see moving forward. I'm very excited to see how they play actually domestically, just to see how Impact plays against all of these really young, mechanically driven top laners. So that is going to be my breakdown of the power ranking system. Hopefully you guys liked it. Let me know, like I said, what you guys think, and give me your guys' opinions on where you guys think a lot of these teams fall, or if my opinions are just completely outlandish and I don't know what I'm talking about. Would love to hear from you guys. Like and comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already for all your guys' League of Legends content weekly, and I will see you guys in the next video. Yeah, there we go. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.